Well, Steve White, Steve White 89. Is there a reason they're dropping all the trailers today? I just found a trailer for Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and I'm like, what? Oh, they're doing a full trailer for that? Because that seemed just forever in production and seemed far away. But no, there's a full 2 minute trailer, and I've had a lot of concerns about this one because I hated Beast Wars. I never watched it. I was a huge Transformers fan. I lived for Transformers. I followed it till the bitter end, up until the last minute of the last sort of Marvel comic, and I just didn't want it to be over. I loved the show, and when the movies came back, I looked past all the problems and just embraced the first movie, and then by the time I got to the second movie, I was like, oh no, and then by the last film, like, I watched it once. The other films I saw like multiple times, was in love with them, bought them on Blu-ray, DVD, watched them multiple times. The other film, by the time I got the last one, I like got it out from the library. Don't even have a copy of it. It was so bad. I'm not Bumblebee. I mean the last one of the Transformers series. But I saw this and I'm like, oh no, not a Beast Wars. Well, why are they doing Beast Wars? Because they did Bumblebee, and Bumblebee was a step back in some ways, but it was so much better. They had a smaller story, smaller action, but you really made the characters real and you actually cared about them. It wasn't so big that it was just overwhelming. Like the other films were constantly overwhelming and you just couldn't grasp anything about it. There was no depth. It was just all this superficial action, just constantly in your face on a level that you couldn't really absorb. It was just too much. But Bumblebee was great. I loved it. It was based in the 80s, and they went back to the original character designs. We saw real Optimus Prime. It was great, and I was like, please do more of these. And then it's like, we're doing Beast Wars. I'm like, oh, shit. And then I found out, well, we're doing Beast Wars, but we're doing it with the new sort of reboot characters, where Optimus Prime is the truck he was in the 80s, and he looks like Optimus Prime, and they look less like Bayformers and more like real Transformers, but still like the Bayformer versions of the real Transformers, if you know what I mean. So it's interesting, and this trailer, it starts off with, I guess it's Optimus Primal. I didn't even know his name till a couple of years ago, because I didn't pay any attention to the bad CGI show back in the day, or any of the comics. I know there's some people who love Beast Wars and think it's better than Transformers, which is it's one of those first moments where a franchise reboots itself and creates a division in the franchise, where the Beast Wars was like this separate little offshoot of Transformers fans, and they didn't really associate or have anything to do with each other. And that was something that we're seeing now happening with all the franchises, where they reboot it and change it so much that it creates a new fandom, and then there's this division, and the people and the fandoms fight, and you don't really get the whole audience, and they're not as successful. And this was like the first time we sort of saw that sort of happen, but it seemed to be like a fluke, and I didn't realise it was going to become the norm of franchises later on. But back to the trailer, we see Optimus Primal bounding out of the jungle, literally in his ape form, which makes no sense that they would take on animal forms and keep them giant animals. Like, why would you be a giant ape? How are you in disguise when you're a gigantic ape? I apologise for my neighbour. I don't know how that is so loud, but I'm not restarting. So yeah, the whole trailer is about, you've never seen a threat like this. I'm not the threat. You've never dealt with a threat like this. Nothing you've ever done has prepared you for the threat that's coming. And you don't see. I'm like, who are they talking about? Is it just the Beast War villains and that's it? And the last shot of the trailer, well, not the last shot of the trailer, last shot of the trailer is a joke about RC, when the girl's like, let it not be real, let it not be real, and she turns around and there's RC like, hey, and she's like, it's real. So that's kind of funny. But the last real moment of the trailer is when they're going at the villains, and the last moment you see someone clash, and I'm like, who are the villains? Why are they hiding the villains? And why are these Transformers who just act like, have the form of have the robot form of animals? How are they any more of a threat than the regular ones that at least can hide as Transformers? You can see the giant robot cheetah and the giant robot hawk or whatever they are coming from miles away, unlike, the car or the satellite that might be just in your area and you don't even know they're a Transformer. I don't see how they're any more deadly, any more interesting, any more anything other than just ridiculous. I hate them. And I just really wish they weren't doing a Beast Wars movie. I wish they'd just given us one genuine Transformers movie, because the Bayformer movies weren't really Transformer movies at the end. The first one kind of felt like it, but then no. And Bumblebee sort of was, but they would just focus mainly on Bumblebee, and you just sort of saw the other characters towards the end. And now this one, it's sort of about the Beast Wars characters, but I think they're sort of fighting them, and it's like, we need your help to fight them. And I'm like, I mean, the Jazz looks good, the main guy, then the car thief guy looks fine, but I really don't. I don't know. Do I want to watch this? Do I really want to see the Beast Wars characters? It's like I'm watching this just to see the original characters, and I'm like, just give us the original characters without the Beast Wars characters. It's like good and bad. It's like I really love the new original characters, but I hate the Beast Wars characters. So I don't know what I'm going to feel about this. I got 6 months to work out if I see it in the cinema. It'll be the first one I don't see in the cinema if I don't. But yeah, I'm going to go.